I'm your host, 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐭, and with me today is the CEO and co-founder of DLabs, Mr. 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐭. So DLabs is a custom AI application development company based out of Poland. And so welcome to Trango Talks, 𝐀𝐮𝐬𝐭. How are you doing?
Hey, I'm doing great. Nice to see you again, and welcome everyone.
So nice to have you with us. And we would like to kick off things with your story first, right? So we have a very short time, but we would like to utilize that time to the best of I would like to utilize that time to the best of my abilities, actually. So let's just hop on to your story. Where did you get the idea of DLabs from, and how did it all start?
Sure. Actually, the story behind the company is quite personal because I have diabetes for over 20, 28 years at the moment. And because of my background, I was always interested how technology can help, the medicine, the life of people like me. So the idea behind was very early on how AI, how big data can affect treatment plans, and how can it help people with diabetes, basically live as the usual normal person. And many years ago, we started working around that idea. We created the prototype, we created company, get some traction at the beginning for that, created a couple of apps and technologies behind that. And at some point, as every startup, we faced, challenges like, okay, how we are going to build revenue around that, how we are going to build the company around that, business model, etc., etc. And I think typically startups have like kind of two ways: the bootstrapping way or the investor way. And in our case, we decided, because we started building a team around AI and big data, so we decided that, okay, let's try to build a company around the idea of not going the investor, but going the bootstrapping way and starting offering this type of services to other companies.
Got it. So we'll jump to the challenges later, but I just want to know, who was your first client, and how did you manage to land your first client?
So I was,
as a startup.
so sure. So our first commercial client was from my network. So because of I was previously working in the different companies, startups as well. So I was already like existing in some sort of technological network. So I started reaching to the people that are in my network to see if that business can fly and if they might need that type of the service. So yeah, that was the beginning long time ago.
Okay. And you said that you guys were bootstrapped, right? So before creating DLabs, what was your profession, or what were you doing before?
Yeah, so before DLabs, of course, I also started a few other companies that failed with other friends and people. I was also working as a consultant. I was working as a software developer, project manager. Then I moved quickly to some sales and business roles. But the funny thing is that my background is physics, and I spent decent amount of time working on the cross-section of physics and computer science. So that was a background. Yeah.
Very nice. So I believe that you should have a background in something that you want to start yourself, right? As a founder, you should have relevant background. You should have industry exposure first. Then you should start off with your idea and your startup, right?
Yeah. So this helps, but I wouldn't say that this is something you cannot like overcome. Because if you really want to build something, you can find people that can help you with that. You can find co-founders. You can start, building a company around the idea, and then, when you see that you have some gaps in the skills or you have gaps in general, other spaces, then you can try to find people to build it with you.
Yeah. So I was looking at your company's history, and you guys have been around for almost a decade now. So I wanted to know what challenges did you guys face, especially when you were starting off, or did you face any resource challenges or, any money issues or anything? So we would like to know, and our viewers would like to know.
Sure, of course. Yeah, so to be frank, of course, we had challenges and different issues, as you said. Like every company, the main, I think the more Western the company is, then the most challenging part is sales and attracting and getting new customers. In Europe, and I think in Poland specifically, there is that's my observation, of course, very subjective to the matter, is that we are very good at the technical stuff. We are very good at being resourceful, meaning that probably it's much easier for a founder to start to find the people that you can build the things with, but we don't have a very strong experience, cultural background in entrepreneurship and attracting customers, doing sales, etc. So it was always something that was challenging for many companies that I was working
And
with,
were
or
you,
my companies. Yeah, go on.
and were you doing sales yourself when you got started, or did you hire full-fledged sales team or something?
So there were different stages in the company history, but I would say that what worked most for us, it was always like when I was doing sales,
Mm-hmm.
because then you are, especially in the very beginnings of the founding the company, of forming the company, you need to be in touch with the customers. You need to be as a founder on the front, understanding the problem customer faces, and to better craft and to optimize your value proposition and your offering. So
Mm-hmm.
there were different stages. I was doing in the beginning. I was doing a lot of those things on my own. Then we had the different agencies working with us. We tried to work with the hiring, building a sales team. Then we decided to again pivot with that and put our efforts more towards the marketing and brand recognition. And long story short is that we are again in the situation that we invested more in the marketing, and I'm still doing sales, which I think now after 10 years of doing different experiments, I think now is the moment that I could have enough experience how to manage that type of sales.
Yeah, sounds good to know. So, uh, you mentioned marketing, so I'm curious to know who was your target market when you started off, and you guys are based out of Poland, so Europe maybe.
No, actually, it was always more towards the States and the Western countries. Um, at the beginning, one of the things I might admit that was, I think, from the time perspective at the moment was that we were too broad in terms. We didn't focus on the one particular segment, and for many years we
Mm-hmm.
were doing almost every project that had some AI stuff
And
involved in it. Yeah, so
got it.
we didn't think about the segmentation, which from that point, from my point of view today, I think it is wrong, and I see a lot of companies doing the same mistake as we did. They are even pitching to us. They are saying, okay, we are doing everything. Yeah, so that
Got
was
it. So how did you reach out to the global audience? Being in Europe, so were you did what strategies did you employ for our audience? Can you let us know?
sure. As a benchmarking towards other companies in our space, we decided differently very early on to focus our efforts on the marketing, meaning that we started doing a lot of content marketing, but not only. We started doing the webinars, recordings, different experimentations with the different things, and at some point we saw that our web traffic started, getting more and more visitors, our website mainly, and we saw that okay, so finally we discovered something that is working. It's the caveat is that it took many years and a lot of investment and do's and don'ts, tries, different tries of what to do. But I can say that from that standpoint, that investing in the content marketing was something that made a difference for us. Of course, market is constantly changing, so I wouldn't say that it might be true for somebody that is going to start now. But for us, it worked, and we see it paid off after a few years. But of course, we are constantly being open to different methods, different things that we are trying. But if I would pick one that worked well for us, it is that.
Yeah, so you mentioned content marketing, and I believe content marketing should be, a major component of every marketing strategy. And this is how we are actually growing at Trango Tech. Content marketing is the way forward.
Mhm.
I'm also curious to know, is your team based out of Poland, or you guys hire remotely as well?
We hire remotely as well. So at the moment, we have only team in Poland at the moment, but there were different times in the company that we were working with really remote people, like even
Mhm.
outside from Europe. So we have been always, when we're like building culture, we have had always in mind the international culture, that everybody is welcome here. Doesn't much matter if this is possible to work remotely. Get into touch with the team. It's not a problem for you to be working from the very distant space. Yeah.
Yeah, so especially after the post-COVID era, it doesn't matter where you're from or where you're, based out of, as long as you're doing the work, that is what counts, and you're, hitting your targets. That is what
Yeah.
counts.
Yeah.
Uh,
Exactly. And also, you have
Also,
a lot of you have.
yeah, please go ahead.
Sorry. Yeah, I just wanted to say that also you have a lot of nice tools that you can use for the remote work. That
Yeah,
for
yeah.
now it's even easier, easier to collaborate, online digitally than at the blackboard, because everything can be digitalized, and with the with what's going in the AI space, you can even quickly transform and ask questions to your data. So yeah, I think COVID changed a lot of things. That was
Yeah,
one.
with the recent developments in technology, it's pretty easy to coordinate and set up meetings and tasks and everything with your team. And I think that um, I think every technology company now has some sort of function that is operating remotely or something. Um, I wanted to ask one more thing, that you mentioned that you have clients from all over the world, right? Which country in particular do you think is adapting to AI rapidly in your opinion?
I think it's states at the moment.
Okay.
Yeah.
Hmm.
Um, we
And
don't
which
see as
component
much.
of and which component of AI? For instance, you mentioned that healthcare industry is something that is adopting to AI. So within healthcare, which companies are the ones that are gearing up? They're gearing up with the technologies of AI, and are more adaptive to AI.
Sure. So it's actually it's a very good question. Which company in particular? Because there are a lot of companies that are doing that. There is a lot of hype. Although not everybody succeed with that, but we are now focused on the very a lot of like now we are very much focused on the on the healthcare space, medical
Hmm.
technologies in general. There is a one notable company that we recently, there was recently a lot in the news, is a company called Evolutionary Scale, SM3. It's a project that was founded by the former Meta AI researchers, and in short, it's AI tool for generating new proteins. And there were, of course, there are applications in drug discovery, material science, carbon capture, etc., etc. And I think, if not mistaken, they have been even covered in the Science magazine. So they got a lot of traction. But what I think will happen, and is starting happening, is that the companies that were not even fully digitalized in the medical space will start adopting that. So I don't have any particular company in mind, and I'm on purpose didn't mention the companies like Amazon, Google, because they are on the frontier of technology for many years. But what's important, I think, a lot of companies that were not recognized as technological companies will start implementing this. But it will take some time because, of course, in this space you need to be very careful with the privacy issues, legal responsibilities, etc. Yeah. This is like a very long answer to your question, but the topic
that I'll take that as an answer. So I also wanted to know, when you approach these healthcare companies, what concerns do they have?
Yeah, so just mentioned it that always there are a few concerns that are repeatable. One concern is, of course, the privacy thing, because from time to time you can read in the news that there is some infringement of the copyrights. There was this case that I think it was New York Times, or I think one of the big media outlets was suing OpenAI for the copyright infringement. But my case is that what I'm driving at is that there is always concerns about the privacy, which is obvious because you don't want your data to be leaked somewhere. And the second is always the legal responsibility, because also in Europe they are starting also talking about that, because people, when there was this breakthrough even in GPT, in OpenAI, that it got a lot of hype, a lot of traction. People start using and asking it also about the medical conditions, etc. And it raised concerns because people started to trust, a lot about the answers, where the answers were not always good. Yeah? So those are the reasonable things to consider when building that kind of spaces.
About privacy, yeah, you're absolutely right, because this is something that every other person is concerned about. In this digital age, your data is not secure anymore, and it's being shared between multiple vendors and companies, and you must be getting a lot of emails as well, like I do every day, right? So yeah, data security is something that companies look into when they go for AI implementation. And I also wanted to ask, what what are the drawbacks of AI implementation? Are there any drawbacks of AI implementation? For instance, if I just make up a situation, for instance, if you're using AI for, let's say, disease detection or something, and if AI makes a mistake, right? So you can lose a life. So do you think there are any drawbacks of using AI?
So this is a kind of complicated matter, but there are ways to navigate, and it's like there is a constant discussion. Okay, so who is responsible? The algorithm, the company that developed, or the company that owns the solution, or the developer that developed the solution. Yeah? So there is a reason that in the medical space there are a lot of regulations when you are building a new product for the medical application. Yeah, there are different levels of FDA clearance, FDA approvals. There are a lot of there are different certifications and standards that you should be certified, and we as a company, by the way, are also going to be certified for development of that type of applications and tools. And AI is like, so you need to take into the consideration of applying those rules, applying those standards also when you are building AI component in that. And then we have also AI Act that is just was started in Europe. It started being official at the 1st of the August, and so there is there is a lot of things that you have to consider when building that kind of applications. And there are, based on my best knowledge, there is even the list of incidents with the big companies when some software solution made a mistake. I'm not saying that there were little cases, but FDA is very specific about listing those incidents, and you can even take a look. What was that? What was the reason? What was the penalty? What was what's happening? Things. And there are ways, of course, technological ways also to, not only procedural, when you have to, document everything, you have to test the system towards the different edge cases, but also you have a technological ways of doing that. Obviously, for the old chat-based solutions, recently we have seen what was called prompt injections techniques, when you also need to start thinking in your software how to be secure towards prompt injections. So there are many ways of how to approach that, and that are minimizing the risks. The question is if you can
I think so that companies start off in an isolated environment first, to experimentations and all, and then they float the product in the market. And like you said, that there are strict rules and regulations that you have to follow, and you have to be certified and all before stepping into this industry. Apart from healthcare industry, which industry is adopting to AI?
So,
According to your
yeah.
opinion, it's adopting fast to AI.
Yeah, so there are multiple markets that are adopting AI very quickly. Of course, this is something that we would need to research more, because it's constantly changing. But the market that we are interested in as a second market, we have projects developed in, is EdTech market, and I think it's also very rapidly implementing the Duolingo as a company, like the flag company from EdTech space, is one of the most recent, not recent, but also most prominent examples how to use AI in your product. They have this Duolingo Max, which use AI for the role playing based learning, etc., etc. And in general, I think EdTech Group is also adapting AI rapidly. And this is the market we are also interested in.
Okay, so what do you think is the next big thing in AI if we consider EdTech industry?
Oh, very good question. I
Shots
think
fired.
that I think it will be something along adaptive learning, in my opinion. Yeah. So let's the adaptive learning in the in the meaning that I think different people, different persons have a different learning curve, meaning that what works for you, you can have a different learning pace than other person. Yeah. And who I would like to see is the system that even when we are touching basic elementary subjects, mathematics, language subjects, etc. What would be nice, physics, chemistry, I can think about many. What I would like to see is something that is kind of tutoring you, guiding you, and constantly giving you materials and guiding you through the learning curve the way that it's optimized between the flow. This chart where you are in the flow, and
Yeah.
there is a chart about the flow, and if you want to learn and evolve and develop yourself, it's always good to be staying in the flow section. When you are below the flow section, there is a frustration going on because you are not going to, you are not able to learn because the subject is too difficult. When you're above the flow, you are bored because you have already the skills that are better than posed by the curriculum. So I would like to see. Many years ago, we have been working with the company and proposing building such a system. It was an EdTech company focused on teaching and selling software for the schools, I believe. And we propose something that AI can adapt to you, how you progress, and to keep you in the flow. And
It's like an AI tutor, right? You're studying and it's explaining you things. So do you think pretty soon we won't be needing teachers anymore? Just a thought.
I think, yeah, I think we would, but I think they need to also, adapt everybody else. So treating AI as a tool that can help you, not as something that we exchange.
Got it. So, what are the biggest concerns of edtech companies when when you tell them about implementation of AI or implementing AI?
So of course, privacy again, as almost in every sector, because nobody wants the data leakage. But there is also one topic which is called AI bias, and there was even some example in UK's level grading algorithm during the COVID pandemic. The case was that the school used historical performance of the great individuals based on the historical data, which resulted in 40% of students receiving lower grades than expected, which highlighted the issues of using historical data for individual assessments. And this is something is also a concern for the companies. And again, there are ways of approaching that problem with building a system.
So,
And AI, yeah.
So was the software wrong, or did they actually perform bad? Did the students actually perform bad?
No. So the case was the data. So they used the historical data that was already skewed, and the case was that of course when you train on the historical data, you already kind of biasing the algorithm because if I had bad scores some time ago, it doesn't mean that I couldn't improve. The algorithm was biased because of using those historical data without putting the human in the loop. That was the problem. Yeah, and it was actually that they scored better than the algorithm says. Yeah.
Got it. So, what are DLabs' goals for upcoming years? Because we are just getting towards the end of our session, so let's just jump on and ask you.
Sure, it was quick. So, of course, we are constantly thinking about scaling up the company, and I have this approach that we are constantly should be in the beta mode. meaning that you should constantly see, monitor what's going on the market, be very flexible, what's going on in the world, especially. So our goals are like very high level. First, be certified company, first go-to company for the US customers for building, health, home care, medical solution for them. And second, we are working also on some EdTech projects with our EdTech customers. So we also want to be existing in that space, and actually, Indian market is something that is kind of interesting for us. We have Indian customers as well, so this is something that we see that might be a good market. We are still like monitoring it, watching it. If this can be, something that we can exist on. And the third, we are building one of our own solution for people with diabetes that is at the moment in the stealth mode. And this is like a third goal for us to release.
Okay, so you guys will be launching that solution as a product, right? The standalone product.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is something.
When can we see that hitting the markets?
I cannot tell, and I would like not to tell because I don't want to be. I don't want to miss the deadline, and I don't want to be, kept accountable for the deadline. It's a dynamic situation.
That's fine. That's fine. So, what advice will you give to budding entrepreneurs, who want to, start with an AI product, or integrate an AI product into their business?
Yeah. First, it will be a kind of biased answer based on my experience with the different customers, but I can give a few. One, really consider if you want to build it on your own, because if you are limited in time and resources, money, etc., it will be very hard to build a team, etc., and learn how to manage this kind of complex projects. So think about partnering with some companies. Second, when you are starting, you will have a lot of different opinions, different advisors. And the more you are connected, the more people you will discuss, you will have more and more advices. And what is hard is not to stay in the analysis space, but start doing things, because probably there are a lot of other people that are thinking about the same idea that you are thinking about as well. So when you stay in the analysis paralysis zone, you are losing time, and if the opportunity is big, probably somebody is already raising money for that or building a solution for that. There are a lot of startups in the world. Many of those fails. There are a lot of acceleration programs. There are a lot of supporting networks. The Y Combinator is obviously the one at the top, and you can see how many startups are getting out of Y Combinator each year, which gives you a sense of how many people have very great ideas. And don't wait, don't overanalyze, just start building things. And the faster you face the market, the better for you, because you will get the feedback and you can start building around the real feedback from real world, not staying in the building.
Yeah, I totally agree with you there. And I think that if you have an idea, you shouldn't, wait for something to happen, a miracle to happen, actually. You should just start. And I think consistency is the key. Once you start, you have to be, you have to be there. You have to commit to that, whatever you want to do, right? So moving on, let's take some questions from the audience as well. We have a couple of questions posted on LinkedIn. Asif wants to know, I wanted to know what's the effect of children's screen time using EdTech devices. You can see his question on the screen.
I wanted to know what's the effect on children's screen time using EdTech devices. Honestly speaking, I have no idea, so I wouldn't like to pretend that I'm an expert in the I don't have a kids even, so I don't know how to answer that. but I can share my personal opinion that, when I was young, my mother also was screaming at me that I'm spending too much of the time on the computers. I'm not saying that spending a lot of time, behind the screen is good, because I don't know, I'm not an expert, but I don't know if I would, at my time behind the computer, I don't know if I would be in the position that I'm in the technological space, building my own company, because I was so affected to the computers. But I don't know about the EdTech, and screen time. I'm not an expert, especially in the space. So
Yeah, I
I don't
think
know.
that question is more suited for psychologists, who study children's
Exactly,
behavior,
exactly.
um, habitats, and when they are online, using different devices, tablets, and everything. We have another question from Havama. How is AI being used in everyday life in terms of healthcare that people might not be aware of? Because I think she wants to know how are we consuming AI, but we don't know that this is actually AI. That, you know.
Cool. Yeah, there are plenty of things that people might not be aware of. The obvious thing is that, first of all, like people are a lot of apps are trying to experiment and implement, chat-based solution in the different applications, even medical. So of course you can have things that are not considered, considered and surfaced to the level of the user, but you might be using it for even in the app that is for the food tracking, as an example. Yeah.
Mhm.
There are things to schedule the patients in the clinics. There are AI tools that analyzes your behavior when you are a customer in some clinic, and again, how many visits you have scheduled, what is the show up. There are examples in the matchmaking things, when there are companies doing matchmaking platforms to hire medical staff for the companies that are short in medical staff.
Got it.
The most like innovative things are there, even applications that you can take a picture of some skin condition and send it in the application to analyze what kind of skin condition problem you can have. There is an application, I don't know if people are using that, are listening to us, but there is an application called Ada Health that for sure you can. It's a symptom assessment tool that you can talk it also like in the chatbot, and it's giving you are saying what kind of symptoms do you have, and it's using its big database and correlation with the for sure with AI, how to what is the most probable condition that you might have, and if it's something that you should quickly go to the to see medical assistance. Um,
Yeah, so I read a report somewhere that in diagnosis, AI, the results that came in using the AI module, the results were 99% accurate, and
yeah,
the best doctors that they have that hospital, the one that came close, he had an 85% accuracy. So AI
yeah,
won there. But then again, like you said, there are rules and regulations they're still testing out, with
yeah.
data and everything. And
Yeah. The obvious.
AI is, I think, as good as the data that you give it to train, right?
Yeah, yeah. The obvious. I think the obvious technological solution that is used at the moment is for radiology, with the
Okay.
computer vision algorithms that also fall into the category of AI, which is very broad, are helping describe the radiological images. Yeah, this is one of the applications that we, as a patients, might not even be aware that AI was
Mhm.
used for that. doing notes, helping in the research. Yeah.
So
For
let's
medical
take
testing.
another question from the audience. Haris wants to know, will AI generated material impact the jobs in the future? I think most of the people, most of the viewers would like to know about this question.
Can you repeat or rephrase the question to be sure? Okay, it's here.
Yeah, it's you can see that on your
Okay.
screen. Yeah.
Yeah. Yes, I will. I think it will, but not in the very, scary way, so to speak. This is something I mentioned during our conversation, that this is another tool, and we need to, learn how to use that. We need to start, working with
Mhm.
that, not against that, or being afraid that we took, our jobs, or something. And I think it will be better, because at the moment we are like, there was a lot of hype of, about the GPT. Now we are testing it. Even I, doing we are doing a lot of projects with the GPT models, not only OpenAI but different models. And even I can tell you that for the particular things, those models are not super good, but they are much better than the models 10 years ago, which is obvious. Yeah. So my prediction is that they will get better. So at the moment we might think, okay, it will not, it is not as good in the, let's say, content generation, because we can tell a difference about the content generation between the human and the large language
Mhm.
models. But take a look at the images and recall how the AI generated images looked like many years ago, and how they are looking at the moment. That people will have more and more difficulties to tell a difference, to tell if this is a, real photo or AI generated. And I think it might be the same with the language models. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we should think about how we can use that to evolve faster, to improve the quality of our work, and all that. Yeah. We
I
should do
agree.
that.
I think AI is not here to take over. It's there to assist and improve. And I believe that things are improving overall. If you consider the implementations of AI in different industries, everything is more efficient. And I think we have seen a lot of progress since the introduction of generative AI. Many softwares that we use right now, the chats and content generations and everything, they're using generative AI. So I think AI has turned things for the better, overall.
Yeah.
Um, so I think we're way past our time now, Shemi. It was pleasure hosting you and meeting you and getting to know a lot from you, and I think our
Thank you.
viewers would agree. Until next time we meet again, and hopefully we'll have another session, maybe sometime later this year or next year, probably. I wish you best of luck for your future endeavors, Shemi, and we do send me an email once you launch that product of yours, right?
Okay. Sure. Sure.
Don't
Thanks
forget.
a lot. It was Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sure. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today. It was a pleasure to share a bit of my perspective. Um,
Thank you, Shami.
anyone
Thank you,
can benefit.
everyone, for being with
Thank
us
you.
and watching us. Take care. Until next time. Bye
Bye
bye.
bye. Thanks.